In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some strange things caught on camera. Items on said list range from sad histories to downright creepy theories, and like the ghost ships of Japan to mysterious noises in the middle of the night. But first, let's take a look at a phenomenon happening in a playground over in Saudi Arabia. A swing moving by itself. If you saw this happening in the park that your kids play at, would you get freaked out, or maybe attempt to figure out a logical explanation, or maybe put your kids in the swing and take a picture? In a children's park in Saudi Arabia, one of the swings on this set continuously moves as if someone was riding it. As we can observe in the video, there really is nobody there though. The seat was completely empty, and yet it continued swinging. Some of you will likely argue that maybe the camera person swung the set before the recording or somebody else did. Honestly, I'd have agreed with you until I saw the second video. Taken at the same place by a different person, the same swing set still exhibits the same manifestation. However, this time, there's nobody close enough to have swung the seat as a joke. Some may say that it could have just been the wind causing it to happen, but then that doesn't explain how still the other swing is. Could it be possible that there may be a paranormal reason behind the events? Maybe a child spirit decided to have fun one more time before moving on. Either way, creepy. For you, Mom. It's always sad to hear when a child dies. It just goes against the unspoken rule of the world. At least the grieving family would have people to lean on during complex events such as these, though. But what if the deceased themselves wish to put a smile on their loved ones' faces one last time? At a wake in the Philippines, a video was captured of a soul balloon floating its way to the 7-year-old deceased boy's mother. It doesn't appear random either. In fact, with how it went to her directly, it's hard to believe it wasn't the little boy attempting to comfort his mother. People might argue that it could have been a wind draft considering the visible air conditioner in the background, but that also wouldn't explain why the other balloons were still. I mean, you all saw that beeline, right? With how it was bobbing up and down next to the woman, it's almost like someone came up, sat down, and snuggled her. That would be pretty cute if it wasn't also creepy. This is one unexplainable event that makes my heart feel warm and also tense up in fear. Max Headroom. For those of you not in the know about who Max Headroom is, don't worry, I don't really know either. But according to my script, he's a fictional AI character played by Matt Frewer, introduced in 1985. He was meant to be a British music program host, and Max Headroom has since been known for a different reason instead. The most famous incident of a live broadcast intrusion, to be more specific. In 1987, during an episode of Doctor Who, which does go that far back, the show's broadcast was suddenly interrupted by a man wearing a Max Headroom mask. However, what makes it so creepy is that he does nothing but laugh and speak unintelligibly to the camera. The mystery man would sometimes be pointing at the camera or flailing around, talking about random things. And if that wasn't enough for you, this interruption ends with him bending over as someone from the side whips his butt. Yeah, I don't get it either. To this day, nobody knows who that was or what the purpose of it all was, but one thing's for sure. People who tuned in to watch their favorite show probably got pretty annoyed by the whole thing. But hey, at least they can say they witnessed one of the strangest things people of recent times have ever seen. Octopuses evacuate to the beach. Along a Welsh coast in 2017, up to 25 curled octopus were spotted emerging from the ocean and crawling along the shore 3 nights in a row. This, of course, confused the seaside town's residents. If that wasn't enough, some of these creatures were found later dead washed up on the beach. Brett Jones, a man who runs the Seymour Dolphin Watching Boat Trips exhibit, says it was a bit like an end-day scenario. I've never seen them out of the water like that. He goes on later to say that it's extremely rare for these octopi to end up on dry land, as from his experience, these species usually hide in rocks some 2 to 3 meters below the surface. However, the unusual occurrence didn't stop the residents from being kindly neighbors. People picked the ones totally out of the water and put them back in at the end of the pier. As for a reason behind all this, curator James Wright hypothesized that the 25 octopi were likely affected by Storm Ophelia and Brian. These storms, according to him, could have given the octopi injuries, or instead confused them due to the change in atmospheric pressure. Eliza Lam. I think anybody who's familiar with the internet by 2013 knows of this case. I mean, the clip you're about to see went viral on all social media at the time. Eliza Lam was a 21-year-old Canadian student who disappeared at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles while traveling in the US. The last time anybody saw any living sign of her was in this video of her in the hotel elevator, released to the public by the LA police in hopes of receiving some aid in their investigation. As we can see, Eliza seemed bothered by something or someone just outside the camera's scope. She attempts to hide in a corner and appears to be on alert, sometimes even stepping out of the small space. When she does return, she presses multiple buttons in an effort which I could only assume is to close the elevator door as quick as possible. Still, the elevator wouldn't budge. Shortly after that, Eliza begins making strange hand motions, and later, a shadow looks to have entered the elevator. In the end, Mrs. Lam left and the doors finally closed. After a thorough search, her body was found in the hotel's water tank. Up to this day, nobody knows the deal of this disturbing recording or even how she got there in the first place. Mexico bird deaths. Disclaimer, the following footage may be distressing for some viewers. Caution is advised. In the Mexican city of Chihuahua, hundreds of yellow-headed blackbirds dropped dead from the sky. In this particular clip, you can see the moment as the whole black shower descended upon a quiet neighborhood. To this day, authorities are unsure of the cause of death. A local vet did raise some suggestions, though. According to them, the birds could have inhaled toxic fumes from a nearby heater or have been victims of electricity cable overcharge. Honestly, I'm not sure how the latter idea would have worked, but it sounds terrifying either way. Whatever the case, I wouldn't be surprised if this event instilled panic into the hearts of the residents in the area. In what world do you ever expect to see a massive death toll of animals like this if not in horror movies? All that's known for sure is that these feathered friends were migrating from northern Canada to Mexico for the winter at the time of their passage. It's a shame they'll never get there. Japanese ghost ships. Despite being called Japanese ghost ships, the vessels originate from North Korea. It just so happens that they do drift through the sea and enter Japanese space, often washing up on beaches. Unfortunately, the story of these boats is far more macabre than initially let on. This is because the vessels often carry the corpses of starved North Korean fishers. Yeah, they weren't just abandoned or lost to storms. So how often alone does this happen, though? Well, in 2019, 150 of these ships washed ashore on Japanese beaches. At least 500 were recorded in the 5 years leading up to that. As for a reason, though, non-profit organization the Outlaw Ocean Project and Global Fishing Watch surmise that these men were forced to go further out into the sea to catch food as Chinese industrial boats were found illegally fishing in North Korean waters. Because of that, boats that are ill-equipped to be so far out face insurmountable dangers. At least that's what a local Japanese fisherman said as he examined a few of the wreckages. Pretty sad, though. They struggled to live, only to die during their valiant efforts. Extreme road rage. A white van could be seen harassing the Mercedes in this dashcam footage. Okay, harassing may be too light of a word, actually. Just look at how aggressively that car overtook that viewpoint driver. Not only that, the driver of the white vehicle proceeds to flail an axe around, threatening the men in the Mercedes. This forced the duo to do a U-turn in an attempt to lose the wild stranger, only to see that they are still being followed. Shortly later, during the chase, the white car rammed into the back of the Mercedes, attempting to throw the men off the road.
Keep driving, holy!
The attacker spun out only after the second ram, giving the Mercedes time to get away and book it to a police station. As police did arrive on the scene, the guy with the axe in his car was gone, though he was found after a couple of hours. The attacker believed the two men were people who had robbed his house the night before. However, this couldn't have been the case as they had never seen each other before this point. Authorities then realized that the assailant was under the influence of something, and he was then charged with multiple offenses and placed in jail for 2 years. Mystery child. A man named Mitch was driving along the highway to return home after a very long day of work. However, what he came across on the road was highly unexpected and very strange. His dashcam footage shows that a child who may not even be double digits in age was walking out in the middle of the highway, only getting nearly missed by Mitch's truck. This prompted Mitch to call the police to report the missing child. Officials then assured him that they would send out patrol units immediately to bring the kid home. An hour later, Mitch called them again to follow up on the situation, and according to him, the cops told him they found the child and brought him home. Strangely, however, police would later state that no child was found on the highway despite searching the area for hours. They also claimed never having told Mitch that they had found the child, nor did they ever say they brought one home. Further, at the time of this event, no child was ever reported missing, leaving this footage one heck of a mystery to everyone who sees it. Campsite with missing posters. What would you do if you stumbled across an old campsite surrounded by different missing people's posters during one of your hikes? Well, I'm not sure personally, but this did happen to one James Rankin over in early October of 2016. He was hiking in Berkeley-Jackson County Park when he came across a campsite. Deciding to explore it further, James moves in, only to see trees littered with taped up missing posters. What's disturbing is that not one single poster was a copy of the other. It all held information about different people who disappeared across multiple states. From this clip in particular, we can see that some of them were from Indiana, others from Utah, and even Georgia. The scariest of the articles he found, however, was a shovel leaning in a fire pit. Of course, James would report this to the police, and after some investigations, however, the cops told James it was someone's elaborate Halloween decorations. Unsatisfied with their reasoning, especially since the posters didn't seem to have been set up recently, James came back to the site later. This excursion, however, was stopped short as he found multiple no trespassing signs taped around the perimeter. Part of me thinks that the Halloween decoration explanation wasn't the truth. Laughter and gunshots. What would you do if you heard strange, loud laughter at night? Not just that either, but what if the noises were eventually paired with gunshots? Personally, I'd have flipped and called the police. For all I know, someone could have been tortured senseless and killed. Phil Poling experienced this while out late at night in his neighborhood in Mission, Oregon. Some noise had caught his attention, so he went outside to investigate.
Kinda sounds doggish, hyena-ish.
He walked around until he reached the nearby forest, and only about 200 feet away from his house is where he experienced all this. It was then he once again heard the sounds. If you listen closely to the clip, you can listen to some wild animalistic screams or deranged laughter. What's more disturbing is that, according to Phil, the sound was coming closer and closer to where he stood. For a moment afterward, everything went quiet, until gunshots rang into the air. It wasn't a one-off thing either. Whoever had the gun was firing one after the other with only seconds of reprieve. What do you guys think happened? Is it just some horrible hunting timing, or is something more sinister afoot? Men in Black. You guys believe in the Men in Black? Not the movie, but other things. Well, this driver came across some weird scene as he was going down the road. As we can see from the dashcam footage, he finds a man late at night carrying an umbrella and wearing a full tuxedo. As soon as the dapper stranger sees him, the man runs away, along with his friend who wore and had the same things with him, and then stood in a tall grass field. What's more surprising is that it wasn't just two of them dressed that way. There were multiple of them, caught like a deer in the headlights. They all gaze at another one of their cohorts some yards away with a light and flare in their hand. This one has actually been proven as a hoax though, but that makes it no less creepy. This is actually a professionally shot and directed video for a new Radiohead album, and yeah, for how creepy it was, I surely wouldn't have forgotten this sort of ad. Maybe I'd even find myself looking for the record store next time. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Tell me, do you believe in aliens? What would you say if they visited us? Find out what was spotted next with number 3. UFO Sighting. What would you think if you saw that plasma pillar cut across the darkened sky? Honestly, my first thought would be it was just some kind of weird lightning, but others who saw the video believe it's a UFO arriving on Earth. If you take a look at the clip, it seems that a beam of purple light shot upward, at least until you see what appears to be the head slowly descending from the clouds. It's unsure this video is even real, honestly. Some speculate that it's some spoof aimed to attract attention on someone's YouTube channel to get money through advertisements. I'm not really sure how that would stand, however the video was first posted in a Spanish Facebook group. Others, including me, just think it's a natural phenomenon such as lightning. Still, I guess the most interesting conspiracy theory is that of UFO enthusiasts. After all, aren't people generally into things that they don't understand? Either way, what do you guys think? Lightning? Spoof? Something else? Let us know in the comments below. Matt here. Not all heroes wear capes, or shirts for this matter. Caught by the homeowner's Ring camera, a man walks up to the porch and pretends to knock and ring the house's doorbell. Initially, he appears dubious until we observe that he's cautiously looking to the side, where we can see a car's headlight. This shifts the narrative, clarifying that instead of doing what he's doing for questionable reasons, he's actually attempting to help whoever lived inside that house. By not actually getting the owner's attention and having the driver see this entire skit, the man defends the owner, who we all could safely assume is someone named Matt. Honestly, who knows what could have happened if he didn't fake what he did, knowing there's someone who appears to be forcing our shirtless hero to do this incident.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
After his performance, he quickly gets off the property and can be audibly heard telling the driver that nobody named Matt lived inside the house. Hopefully this helpful guy is alright because we don't see him again after this encounter. However, we do see that at least this prompted the driver to go away. Good Samaritans, am I right? Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works. Kidnapping. The thought you could have at looking at this camera ring video. A woman can be seen knocking on a neighbor's door, looking behind her every other time. Later we realize it's because there's a man following her who grabs her by the hand and drags her away. Kidnapping? Well, according to the victim, that's not what happened. Victor Kushish, the guy in the video, is apparently her boyfriend. According to the victim, she and Victor argued over what she would not expand on. Because of said fight, the couple went out on the drive in hopes of calming her anxiety down. Instead, her panic attack worsened, prompting her to get out of the car and look for a third party to help her calm down. She said that it had been a stranger following her, as she should have been in any danger, but she would have done more and screamed bloody murder. I suppose that's a pretty fair point. Still, I can't blame people for thinking that it was a kidnapping. Though, given how everything appeared, I guess she can at least say the people who lived next door to them cared enough to report the situation to the police, despite having misunderstood it all. See you all next time.